Hi, welcome back to Kinaland. My name is Ademi, and this is where we talk about all things writing and storytelling. So, today we want to discuss something that has been pertinent on my heart for a while, and that is what are the attributes of high quality content? When you come up with content, how do you know that these things are high quality? Especially if you are somebody trying to build a brand through storytelling, whether a personal brand, whether the brand of a business, and you are trying to come up with a content calendar or with a structure or synopsis of content you are going to be pushing out. How do you know that these things you are putting together are of high quality? Stay tuned and we'll dive into business shortly. Okay, the first thing about high quality content or a high quality content calendar is that it is instructional, especially to the intended audience. It has a lot of instruction to it. Now, before I really go on, please note that your content strategy or your calendar does not necessarily have to cover everything I'm going to talk about in this video. However, you should at least commit to say two of them with one that is really important, and I'm going to make note of that. That's the last thing I'm going to talk about. So you have to take at least two of all the attributes I'll be saying plus the last thing I'll be talking about. That's a minimum of three of all these things I'll be talking about that must be considered when you are trying to come up with content. These things are very important. So as I was saying, your content has to be instructional. It has to come with lots of how to, what to, when to not, when to, how to not, where to for your brand. Now let's try to apply this to a few content. Let's assume that you are creating content around health. You want to tell people how to do some things to improve their health, how to not do some things, when to do some things, when to not do some things, why should people do some things, why should they not do some things, with enough reasons. Of course, remember that as a content writer or as a writer or a storyteller generally, research needs to be one of the major or biggest skills you have. So be sure that somehow you are creating content that will instruct people on how to do, what to do, basically answering all the WH questions. Let's assume that you run a fashion brand. You want to do lots of how to rock a particular outfit, where to rock a particular outfit to, where a particular outfit is appropriate for, where it is not appropriate for, all of these things, maybe how to care for a particular fabric, how to not care for a particular fabric, comparing two or three different kinds of fabrics together and telling people how to treat one or how to not treat one. Now, note that how specific your content will get depends on your targeted audience. For example, this fashion thing we are talking about, the target audience of a fashion designer that is trying to build a community of fashion designers will be very different from a fashion designer who is just trying to drive sales with their content. So this is how the two of them can apply it differently. For a fashion designer who is trying to build a community of fashion designers with their content, an example of instructional stuff would be how to relate to a particular client, how to price your work, how to set price for the things that you make, how to properly oil your sewing machine, all these how to's, where to's, when to not, how often should you service your sewing machine or your gadgets and your tools. Such content is very beneficial for such person, but you can't apply it to a fashion designer who is trying to drive sales. Your targeted audience is not the fashion designer. It's basically somebody who wears the outfits you make. Women, men, children, or parents of the children you are trying to target. So a way you can put this instructional content into perspective for such kind of brand is something like saying how to properly store your outfit, how to properly wash a particular kind of material, what kind of soap should you use for a particular kind of material. All this content are instructional and they can benefit your brand. Now let me take another brand aside fashion. Let's say tech. For example, it's once again boils down to the kind of audience you are trying to target. So let's say you are somebody who is trying to build a community of tech lovers, of a community of people who just love phones, love gadgets, love all of that. One how to could be how to set up a particular gadget, how to how to minimize the consumption of data on a particular gadget. I mean, these are the kind of content I search for, even though I am not a tech lover. Being a tech lover yourself, you automatically should have an idea of the things that your audience is searching for, that your audience will want to know more about. Now, let's assume there's another tech content creator who is actually just trying to build a community of people who love a particular kind of gadget. Let's say laptops. You don't necessarily have to be the person who creates content about laptops, phones, everything. It just depends on you and the kind of audience you're trying to target. So you can create some how to content, when to, where to not. All of these things come together under instructional content. So one of the major attributes of high quality content is that it is instructional. Another quality of high quality content, let me say, another attribute of high quality content is that it's correct, it is correctional. And this, is applicable to any kind of content. In particular, you get to correct people. It's like telling people what they've been doing that they could actually do better, telling people what they've been doing that they should totally stop or that they can improve on. And this is applicable to fashion, to food, to tech, to writing, to stories, whatever the case might be. If you follow my page, or if you've been following my YouTube channel, you'll see that I created some content where I spoke of some things that you should do better as a writer, or as a storyteller, or some things you should totally eradicate. So that is part of high quality content. If you are creating a content strategy towards community building, towards sales, or towards just driving some traffic to your page, these are the things you should put into consideration. Try to work around content that instructs people. So when people know that you are that person who is always telling them that all the things they've been doing so far in regard to a particular topic is wrong, and you have a better approach to it, especially with verifiable facts, with verifiable reasons, with some properly certified recommendations. I mean, over time you get to build a reputation for yourself, for your brand, or for the brand that you're trying to create that content for. So it really works a great deal. Try this and let me know. Now, another attribute of high quality content is that it informs. You can't keep telling people what to not do or what to do. You can't keep correcting people. You also need to bring something fresh to the table. It is true, though, that there is nothing new under the sun, but of course, there are always innovative means to whatever you are talking about. So, whatever it is, whatever at all it is, there is always a new approach to it. Now, let me use a totally different example to what I've been doing all day. Let's assume you are doing something about children. Now, you have to be more specific. You have to be more targeted. Are we talking about children's health? Are we talking about children's diet? Are we talking about children's fashion? Are we talking about children's education? Let's just say you're doing something around children. Aside the fact that you're telling people what to do, when to do, what not to do, how to do, or you're telling people they've been doing this is wrong, they have to do it and that way. You should also tell people some things that they can do. This is very close to instructional, but the difference is that instructional is like building on what people already know to just help them make better decisions, while informative is like bringing something new to the table, bringing something informative to the table, especially things that people have been overlooking so far. So let's say I'm doing something on parenting, or let's say you are doing something on parenting. You are trying to create high quality content around creating for whatsoever social media platform or content distribution platform. A kind of instructional content would be how to communicate with your kids better instead of always talking down on them. A form of correctional content in that same regard would be how you've been disciplining your children that is not really okay, and what are the reasons. Of course, your content will not necessarily be accepted by everyone. In fact, you would agree with me that there are some content around this going out recently that doesn't necessarily apply to everyone, that's not accepted by everyone. But the truth is, you keep driving these conversations around what you do and keep restating yourself as somebody who is verified and who is approachable and who is becoming a voice or a leader, or a thought leader rather, in that field. Now, a form of informative content can be telling people how to keep your children engaged at home. That sounds like a WH question, but it is actually informative, you understand? Or what you do to keep people engaged, to keep your children rather engaged at home, or new games out there, or innovative ways out there to teach your children about some basic life skills like financial skills, like emotional intelligence skills, and all that. So try to put all this in perspective and let me know how it works out. So you see, out of all these things that I've mentioned, you can decide to take just one of them or combine two of them or maybe make a combination of the three. But there's one attribute that is non-negotiable, and this is authenticity. Your content has to be authentic if you want to make it high quality. What do I mean by being authentic? It is real, it is not forced, it is not fake. The thing is, as a content creator or a content writer, the things that are easiest for you to write content on or to tell stories about are the things that you're interested in yourself. Imagine, I mean, come to think about it, it's very easy for you to talk about certain topic ideas than others, even though you are researching about everything. As a writer, there are times that I am brought in to write content on a particular field that I am not so interested in. But of course, I'll do my research and try to deliver something that is good enough and excellent enough for me to be called on, or for my clients to make a referral. And there are some certain gigs I say total no to because I am totally disinterested, and this is not because of anything other than the reason that I know that I am so disinterested in this field that no matter how much I try to put effort in, it's going to be fake, it's going to look forced, it's not going to be authentic. So if you have someone, or if you are someone who is interested in music, it would be very easy for you to create content around music. Maybe you're not so interested in food, you still find it okay to create content around food. But imagine you have entirely nothing to do with tech. You can challenge yourself to make some research, to read, to see some things out there, and this actually comes with experience. But if you see that your interest in that field you're trying to create content around is a total zero or even negative, I would advise that you do not even try to set your feet into it. So please try to be authentic. Don't try to fake anything. Don't try to force anything, and you'll see yourself consistently delivering high quality content. Okay, thank you for watching to this point. Actually, all these tips I just shared are from my incoming book, from my new book that is incoming and is going to be released soon, titled The Bible's Masterclass on Content Creation. This is very beneficial for you, especially if you are going into non-fiction writing, you are going to content creation or something around that. You need to get this book. It guides you on how to start creating content, and it gives you lots of ideas on how you can generate content that is going to be high quality and will be able to appeal to the intended audience. So I'm going to drop the link in the description. Kindly make your pre-order, and when you are done reading, by the time it's out, please let me know what you learned. Now it has made your content game better. Thank you for watching. Once again, my name is Adeyemi and this is Kinaland. Remember to tell a friend about this channel.